Hey everyone, John Blankensop here, and welcome to another Big Q University Knowledge Nugget. In this edition, we're going to be discussing one of the three Big Q quality management universal processes called quality planning. I hope you find this edition insightful and informative. Let's start out by examining the Big Q premise for quality planning. And I'm going to do this by asking a question. And that question is, how do organizations deliver value and achieve sustained success? Well, they do this by executing a well-planned network of connected and interacting system components, which are process activities and people, to fulfill targeted objectives. So our central premise here is that organizations that execute a well-planned network of connected and interacting system components, process activities, and people can deliver value and achieve sustained success. Well, what other benefits are there to the organization? Well, it can provide consistent and predictable results that meets the requirements of all relevant interested parties, achieves overall system effectiveness and efficiency, enhances ability to focus efforts on key processes and opportunities for improvement, optimizes performance, effective process execution, and efficient use of resources. It can reduce cross-functional barriers within an organization. And finally, provides confidence to interested parties related to process consistency, effectiveness, and efficiency. Then the next question for us is, how do organizations assure this will be achieved? And they do this by incorporating and integrating into management thinking and everyday working practices the universal quality management processes. The Duran trilogy, the three universal processes of Big Q quality management: quality planning, quality control, and quality improvement. And if you recall, I talked about these three universal processes like this three-legged stool over here, where each leg of the stool was one of the three processes: planning, control, and improvement. And that the strength of this stool holding up the Big Q quality management efforts in an organization are only as strong as the weakest leg. And in many organizations, I have found over the years that that weakest leg is quality planning. So this is what we're going to discuss in the remaining part of this knowledge nugget. So what is quality planning? Well, quality planning is part of Big Q quality management that focuses on determining quality requirements and objectives and specifying necessary processes and resources to fulfill these requirements and achieve objectives. Now, if we take a look at this at a system level first, we start out with interested parties, relevant needs and expectations. Those feed up into understanding what our key quality policy is going to be, which then will create a framework for our quality objectives and our strategy. Now we know at a minimum our quality objectives are going to be overall customer satisfaction, conformity of product and services, on-time delivery, and a cost consideration, either total cost of quality or cost of poor quality. Well, next we have to understand what processes are required within this system to achieve those objectives. And we can use the framework that we find in ISO 9001 for this. So we can start to understand what leadership processes we need, what operational value stream processes we need, what support processes we need, and what performance evaluation and improvement processes we need. We want to visualize the network of processes, their sequence and interaction, and a graphic depiction, a process map, a process flow diagram, in order to understand the roles of each process in the system and its effects on the performance of the system as a whole. Next, we want to look at this at a process level. So, planning a process within this system of processes requires that we first determine the quality requirements and objectives for the process. Typically, in a manufacturing process, it could be in the key result areas of safety, quality, delivery, and cost that should have a tie to the overall system's objectives. But this can also hold true for service organizations as well, where maybe safety is replaced by employee satisfaction. The next thing we would do is we would specify the necessary process activities and the resources needed to fulfill requirements and achieve objectives. And then the third thing is we would balance the purpose and objectives of this process in alignment with the organization's overall objectives so that we could optimize the system. Now, in reality, there's one thing we really need to do in the planning piece before those three items that we just talked about. And that is, we've got to establish a process owner. For every process in the system, we must appoint a person or a team that's referred to as the process owner. We want to appoint them with defined responsibilities and authorities for the process and its interaction with other processes that it impacts, and those processes that may have an impact on it. It includes planning and determining the process, maintaining the process, controlling the process, and improving the process. Also, we must ensure that these responsibilities and authorities that are appointed and assigned, along with the roles for a process owner, are recognized and honored throughout the organization to support process owners to fulfill their authorities, responsibilities, and roles. We also must make sure that people working within the processes have the competencies needed to execute the tasks and activities involved. How do process owners within an organization plan and determine processes and their interactions? Well, they must take into account key process planning considerations, such as what is the purpose of the process? What are the objectives to be achieved and related performance measures? What are the outputs to be provided? What are the needs and expectations of relevant interested parties? And have there been any changes recently to those needs and expectations? Are there any changes in operations, markets, or technologies that could impact the process? What are the inputs, resources, and information needed, and what are their availability within the organization? What are the activities that are needed to be implemented, and what methods can be used in that implementation and execution of the process? Are there any constraints for the process? And what risks and opportunities exist relevant to the process? These process planning considerations are just the beginning. Successful quality planning really requires a management system framework that helps us understand the key activities that are required to plan and determine a process that focuses on nonconformity prevention and interactions of the process with other processes throughout the system. Well, one such management system framework exists in industry, and it's called Advanced Product Quality Planning. It looks something like this. Advanced Product Quality Planning is a product realization methodology that's made up of 5 phases. Phase 1 is planning. Phase 2 is product design and development. Phase 3 is process design and development. Phase 4 is product and process validation. And phase 5 is production launch, ongoing production, use, and post-delivery service. Now, this 5-phase product realization methodology is meant to be integrated in an organization's existing product development process, or PDP. There are 2 key elements of this methodology that I want to highlight by using these red arrows. The first one is called Integrated Product Teams, or IPTs. So this methodology introduces the idea of IPTs that are formed ahead of phase 1, and they're made up of representation from cross-functional groups within an organization that come together as a team and work a new product development project through the 5 phases of this methodology. The other key concept is the introduction of something called integrated product and process development, or what we refer to as concurrent product and process development. Now, this was a key fundamental concept in advanced product quality planning because what it did is it overlaid the two phases of product design and development and process design and development and set it up so that they're working concurrently with each other. So product design was influenced very early in the development methodology by process, and then process was influenced by product design. Advanced product quality planning establishes a uniform approach to product realization, ensuring quality products through nonconformity prevention, and that these quality products are delivered on time while satisfying cost performance targets. It also standardizes product development process requirements for product realization through the use of this APQP methodology. And it calls for an organization's product realization processes to fulfill these requirements for the products within their design and/or manufacturing responsibilities and define how APQP is applied within their PDP. One thing I'd like to say before I continue is although APQP is a product and manufacturing focused methodology, I believe that the concepts within the methodology can also be applied to the service industry and integrated within a service development process, as well as being integrated into a product development process with equal benefits to a service organization as it has with a product-oriented organization. Now, as I said earlier, APQP is a framework. It's a what and when framework. It also includes what's called phase gate exit criteria to help us understand the requirements that must be fulfilled in each of the phases before we can exit and move into the next phase. Now, to support this, it includes for each phase a list of inputs that are required coming into the phase and a list of outputs before you can exit a phase. Now, if you recall, I said earlier that APQP as a product realization methodology is to be integrated into an organization's product development process, PDP, or maybe what we would call concurrent product and process development process. Now, it's very important that an organization establish, maintain, and continually improve a highly effective concurrent product and process development process within their quality management system that includes defining how APQP as a methodology and the requirements of each of the five phases will be applied within their product development process. So let's bring this knowledge nugget to a close by taking a look at some big Q suggested best practices for quality planning. First, we want to define objectives of the system and processes of the system and understand the necessary processes or process activities necessary to achieve those objectives. We want to establish authority, responsibility, and accountability for managing processes, what we call process owners. Establish, maintain, and continually improve a product process development process, PDP, for product realization that applies the APQP methodology, Advanced Product Quality Planning methodology. Understand the organization's capabilities and determine resource constraints prior to action, prior to the release of the process. Determine process interdependencies and analyze the effect of modification to individual processes on the system as a whole. Ensure the necessary information is available to operate and improve the processes and to monitor, analyze, and evaluate the performance of the overall system. And finally, manage risks which can affect outputs of the processes and overall outcomes of the quality management system. Well, that's going to be a wrap for this Big Q University Knowledge Nugget. I hope this edition piqued your interest and intellectual curiosity. Please don't hesitate to leave comments or feedback regarding this Knowledge Nugget content. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing and or following this Big Q University Quality Management Knowledge Sharing Series. I hope you'll plan to join me again for another Big Q University Knowledge Nugget. But until then, remember, every day is a great day to make things better. See you next time.